Hello everyone and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. I hope you guys are doing very well. Sorry for not posting as regularly. I was supposed to post yesterday, but I actually fell asleep. So I thought, okay, well, it's gonna be today. So here I am. As you guys know, I'm on vacation, so that's why the reason of this change in setup. Don't forget, if you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. It greatly helps the channel, and as you guys know, is also the only thing that I ask. Now, what we've been seeing is the bond market today was selling a little bit more aggressively, but still fairly stable. That is the key for the remaining of the markets. It's so funny because all of the doom and gloomer predictors, including Harry Dent, who immediately jumped on David Lynn's show, talking about this huge collapse, and here we are, with the S&P 500, less than 2% away from a new all-time high, with the Dow Jones, 3 or 4% from a new all-time high, and with the Nasdaq and Nasdaq 100 with 5% or something from a new all-time high. So I wonder if his thesis completely changed, or if he will simply postpone his prediction yet another 6 months or whatever he's going to postpone. Once again, and I've said this repeatedly, it's all about liquidity in the markets. This doesn't sell. I mean, it would much rather be better for me to come here and just say stuff like, oh yeah, if you need to look at this indicator that I created, right? And you need to pay €100 for it, or $100 or $500 or 500 Swiss franc per month, and I will give you access to all of these. I'm a very successful trader, right? But somehow I need your $200 a month to live. It's a bit weird, right? It's all a bit contradictory, but just trust me, bro. Just trust me. It's gonna work. No, liquidity will dictate the markets, and that is valid for any market. I've said also that crypto should start to go up after the second half of August a bit more consistently. We are currently above 60K for Bitcoin. There's going to be a time where we will not see 50K ever again, the 50K handle. Just the same way that I'm convinced that we will never see the 40K handle for Bitcoin ever again. We saw it with the Japanese sell-off, and that's it. And the point is, we thought that we were out of it. We sold off in a day into it. We touched it. We got out of it. Whoever was prepared, whoever was positioned did very well. Whoever was waiting for the 30K that all the channels were predicting is now lost, or has now lost a big part of its potential upside. Now, you need to understand that there are two things going on here that people want to push on you. Number one is doom and gloom, and the reason is because it sells. So you have people like Peter Schiff, you have people like Harry Dent, Robert Kiyosaki predicting about a crash every 3 months. Then, or hyperinflation like Venezuela, stuff like this. Imminent, it's about to happen any second now. Or you have the people that will try to leverage whatever is going on in the market. Doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, they will just try to leverage it in order to build a following big enough to sell you stuff. Okay? And a good example of this, in my view, is someone like Meet Kevin, right? He was super bearish. He was shorting the market. He was posting all these things about increasing his shorts. All of a sudden, the market does a U-turn, and guess what? He's also making money on the upside. It's amazing. So his whole thesis was being short the entire time, and very aggressively short. And now, all of a sudden, he is on the right side of the market again. Sure. A little bit like he was saying, he had a video. I think he deleted that short video. I don't know, but I think he did, where he was saying that holding Bitcoin into the election is like holding a hot potato, because that thing is going down, 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 down. I bet you right now that if Bitcoin goes to 75, 80K, somehow he was positioned for it and he made a lot of money. So you see, this is the problem. First of all, people don't have time to spend, watching every single video of every single thing that someone like him says, but he can use it. I saw him saying that he predicted the collapse of FTX and stuff like that when he was getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars from FTX to basically funnel his followers into the FTX platform and getting annihilated. But the point is to convince people that he did all of these things so that people go around and pay for him and pay the things for him. Now, there's a YouTuber that I actually like, who's called Gregory MANNARINO. He's a bit too doom and gloom for me, I have to say, but I do believe that his thesis is one of the best. I disagree a little bit with the outcome that he presents, but I do think he has one of the most consistent messages. So what he says in summary is the real economy is completely screwed up and is getting more screwed up by the minute. Everybody's aware of it. Everybody knows about it. Look at what happened to the job report. You remember in this channel here that we were saying about the strong job reports? And I told you, check inside the report and you'll see how weak it really is. And it's a matter of time before the statistics start showing it. What happened? Big revision. About 800,000 jobs were actually never created. That's a negative 32% revision, which is the biggest since 2009. Once again, if you were here in this channel, you knew perfectly what was going on. However, what did I say? The machines and people are trading the headlines, not the revisions and not the report. However, if you know what's going on, you know that it's a matter of time that they're going to revise it to the downside, which means print, baby, print. Instead of drill, baby, drill, it's print, baby, print, and you see exactly what's happening right now, creating the conditions for money printing. Once again, by the way, I do believe by the rumor sell the news event when it comes to interest rate cuts. How much time and how deep can the sell the news go depends heavily on how quickly the market will price further rate cuts. And yeah, so essentially how quickly that's going to get priced in. But going back to Greg, I do also believe, and I agree with him, that the bond market will dictate all the other markets. I do disagree with the point of, the Dow Jones dropping to 8,000 or 6,000 and all this collapse that is imminent. No, I think this can last way longer than people think. We still didn't have negative rates in the US. So that's another one that needs to be crossed out of the board. We still don't have the Fed, let's say, on balance sheet officially. I know that they have the SPVs, etc. But basically going in and buying stocks directly, like the Bank of Japan has done. And I do believe the US can go with negative rates for quite a substantial amount of time, depending on what the other regions are doing. This is the key. People say, the US can never have negative interest rates. Yes, they can. Depends on what the other countries are doing. If all the other countries are further negative than they are, you just need a little bit of regulation in the banks that forces you to hold treasuries as collateral. And all of a sudden, there's a huge demand for treasuries with negative yielding rates. Very simple. Said the same thing about the ECB and about Switzerland and about Denmark and about Sweden and about Japan, and they've done it for years, and again some years. I think there are two scenarios that can happen. I don't see that drop to 8,000. I disagree that gold and silver would be good places to be. The reason is very simple. The governments can seize those assets, and they've seized them in the past, so there's an historical evidence for it. So in my view, if you want to get out of the system, you go into crypto. Why crypto? Because crypto, you don't need to spend huge amounts of money to transport, like gold or silver. It's much harder to be seizable versus gold and silver. And you can benefit from something called regulatory arbitrage, which means if the US is going down that route, you should have time to go to a jurisdiction, to a country, where that's not going to be the case, where the regulation or where the regulatory environment will work in your favor. Places like Dubai, places like Singapore, places like even like Hong Kong, places like, you name it, Portugal, places like Brazil. So you have a lot of places which are more crypto friendly that will allow you to move there, and it's much harder to seize your assets because you're not going to be going into the airport with hundreds of suitcases filled with gold and silver. So to me, that's the big advantage that crypto would have if there's indeed a collapse of the entire system, would be that if you want to move into outside of the system, then to be honest, crypto is the best way for you to get your wealth out of the country successfully with minimal transport and cost, and basically move into a more friendly regulatory environment if that comes to pass. While gold and silver can be seized and has been seized in the past. So it's not even a hypothetical, it's not even, maybe no, it already happened. We have already seen that. And I do believe that was going to be repeated if we get to that level. Then, when it comes to this entire collapse, look, I think it depends on how much time the US, and not the US only, the US, UK, Western Europe in particular, how much time can they buy, Japan, South Korea, how much time can they buy until AI becomes a major factor in the economy? Because if AI becomes a major factor, then things like decreasing demographics and old people own all the wealth kind of things matter much less. Because AI is pretty much infinite population. So if you have infinite population, then all the demographic cliffs become meaningless. If they are more productive, and they are, by the way. I mean, for example, Amazon, I think their robots are 6 to 8 times more productive than a worker. Then the boost in productivity can be so large that we can correct the mistakes of the past with increased productivity and GDP creation. We're talking here of the potential of doubling the GDP on a yearly basis, basically. Will that happen? Is that pie in the sky expectations? At this moment, a little bit, because nobody really knows for sure. Like we can all see the potential, there's no question about it. However, we also know how the government works. If AI doubles the productivity or triples the productivity and GDP goes up 2 or 3 times, we know that the government will try to find a way to make themselves useful, or people to believe that they are useful, and basically try to screw you over on a different way. I get it, but maybe that gap between the improvements on the economy versus the government adapting to screw you, maybe that is long enough that can help dramatically solve the issues that you have. Very possible, very possible. So we will see. I mean, I'm not so convinced about the whole 8,000 Dow Jones and 6,000 Dow Jones kind of thing. I really don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm saying I respectfully disagree, okay? Because I actually think Greg is one of at least he's very consistent. He remains long the market as long as this liquidity is going on, and as long as the bond market remains stable, he remains very consistent with his approach, and from what I've been seeing over the years, he's actually done quite well. Then I wanted to discuss another thing before I forget. The Grayscale has decreased quite a bit the number of Bitcoin sold. They also have about 7 billion Ethereum left. Basically, a lot of the sell pressure on Bitcoin is now being resolved, which is good. So you need people I'm starting to see people thinking that the bear market is here, which is also very good. And I also see people saying that all the altcoins are dead and finished, which means that we should start seeing altcoins then perform a bit better going forward. You need people to basically believe that the world is coming to an end and that the bear market is here and that all the gains are done and there's nothing left. So then we can go up again. I mean, it's amazing, but there's a chart I think put out by your friend Somi, which is a chart of all the other coins versus Bitcoin. And there's a channel or a website that's called Altcoin Daily. So basically, that whole material, that whole content is about altcoins. And they said altcoins are dead versus Bitcoin forever, whatever, something like that. That comment was the bottom of others versus Bitcoin. Think about it. A channel dedicated almost exclusively to altcoins declares that altcoins are dead, and that day is the day of the bottom of all the other coins versus Bitcoin. It's just amazing how these things work in every single market over and over and over again. You need people depressed, you need people tired, you need people feeling that they're screwed, people thinking that this time is different and they're all going to go to hell and that the crypto cycle has been interrupted. You need all of this in order for us to be able to keep going up. And with that, guys, I don't want to take more of your time. Thank you very much for following. I apologize for not posting yesterday, but really with the holidays sometimes can get a little bit tricky. But don't forget, drop that like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much, guys.